It's Saturday night.
The kids are in bed.
Which means we did it. We survived another week.
So let's talk about it.
From our latest homebrew project
to kids' crafting projects.
Just talking life with 2 young kids and 2 dogs. Grab your favorite beverage, sit back,
relax,
and see where the conversation takes us.
Sometimes we don't even know until we get there. This is the Craft Parenting Podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome back to this week's episode of the Craft Parenting Podcast. Thank you so much for being here. Another week has flown by and it is once again Saturday and time to record another episode. My name is Joe Ludwig and with me is my lovely wife and co-host, Caroline. How's it going, Caroline?
I am here and I am very tired. So children are physically exhausting and being in the office is mentally exhausting. So you combine those two and I'm just in a constant state of wanting to sleep. But I like my job and I like our kids, so I guess I'll keep them both.
Well, sometimes you say that your coworkers are like the kids.
Some of them can be like small children. It's lots of fun.
So take that for what you will. I'm going to tell everyone listening a little secret. Well, actually, if you probably saw the title to this episode, so it's probably not really a secret.
I mean, secrets are no fun unless if you tell everyone.
Today, the day that this episode releases, is June 3rd.
I like that date. It's a good date.
Yeah, and that's a certain someone's birthday.
There must be a birthday, I wonder for who. There must be a birthday right here in this room. So look all around you for somebody who is laughing and smiling. My goodness, it's you. Insert happy birthday song here. I have a Girl Scout song for everything.
Yes, you do. And it's not just any old birthday. It is the big 3-0.
Woohoo. Yay.
So if you don't already know, that person who is turning 30 is my co-host, Caroline.
Yup. We're getting new people at work that are way younger than me. And I'm like, this is what? No. What?
They were born in
2000.
Yeah. Way too early.
Yeah, 2 years ago. Yeah, because it was right before Lily was born. We had a co-op who was younger than Google. And I was like, oh my goodness. Because Google started in August of 99 and he was born in October of 99 or something like that. So I was like, I remember when Google wasn't a thing. Google has always been around for your entire life. What is this madness?
I remember Ask Jeeves.
Ask Jeeves was also a thing.
Yes.
Yahoo Answers, those were fun for a while. It was like you were asking the internet questions and the internet responded in the way the internet typically responds to things.
If I'm remembering correctly, Yahoo Answers just recently shut down.
That's not surprising. Yahoo still kind of stuck around. Someone was supporting them. It was not me.
Nope. As we were preparing for the episode today, I realized that both of us accomplished a lot in our 20s.
They were some good years.
Yeah. Yes.
They were a little bit long. They were a little bit ago for you.
I'm only a year and a half older than you.
A year and 9 months.
A year.
Let's get it right.
All right. Who's counting? And we had a lot going for us back in the 20s, the roaring 20s. In this episode, we are going to take a walk down memory lane, not a literal walk, but just like a figurative walk. And we are going to explore our 20s.
Woohoo!
So we have another great show planned for you this week, so let's get started. So before we get to that, we had a decently long week, huh?
It stretched on forever and flew by at the same time, but that's what the week after vacation kind of does.
Yeah, I did not want to go back to work.
I also did not want to go back to work, but I hadn't been back to work for 12 weeks. I was very much out of my routine.
Yeah, you actually physically have to go into work.
Yes, I physically have to go into the office. I wasn't sure whether or not I was going to have my laptop because everyone else in the department had been borrowing my laptop since they don't have laptops. But it was on my desk.
I'm proud of them.
I am too. I didn't have my standing desk attachment anymore. At one point, my boss asked me if there was anything that I would like to add to my desk to make my work life a little bit more comfortable. And I suggested a standing desk. So they make these attachments that are less than $200 that you put on your actual desk that you can raise and lower to make it a standing desk without actually having to spend hundreds or thousands of dollars on an actual standing desk where the whole thing raises and the whole thing lowers.
Those are nice, though.
Well, yeah, you used to have those when you actually went into the office.
Yeah, I used to stand all the time, actually.
Yeah. So towards getting close to when I was gonna go on maternity leave, my laptop took a dump. So I needed to get a new laptop. And in the process of getting a new laptop, my monitor wouldn't work with the new laptop. My docking station wouldn't work with the new laptop, which is pretty typical. And none of my accessories would work with my new laptop because my new laptop only had USB-C ports. It did not have any USB-B ports, which is what your standard USB is that everybody knows. USB-C is the new one that they're coming out with. It's on MacBooks and if you have a Samsung phone, those use USB-C ports. So since none of my accessories worked, I didn't want to have my laptop on top of my standing desk where I would have to super raise my arms in order to use my laptop. So I took my standing desk off of my desk and set it in the corner of my cubicle. And then one person asked if they could borrow my standing desk to see if they liked it. And I said yes. They did not like it because they wanted a whole desk that would move, not just part of a desk that would move. So it came into the CoOp's cubicle, just chilling there. And then somebody else asked if they could borrow it. And I'm assuming that they didn't like it because after the second person asked if they could borrow it, another person came into my cube and said, "Hey, what happened to that standing desk thing? Did you get rid of that? Because I wanted to try it." And it was one of our purchasing agents. And I was like, well, this engineer has it right now, but you can tell him that you want to try it next if he doesn't like it, or here's the part number so you can order one. So when I got back, he had it. And I had told him, so when I get back, I'm going to want this back. But if you decide that you like it and you want to keep it, I'll just tell your boss to order me one. So one of my first orders of business on Monday was to figure out whether or not he had my standing desk still and if he wanted it. And he decided he wanted to keep it. I sent a purchase rec to his boss and said, "Hey, your employee took this for me. Order me a new one." And I got one that actually matches my desk color instead of the standard black. So it'll look nice. And it finally showed up on Friday, but it was too late in the day for me to put it together and put it on my desk, which I was a little bummed about. Friday morning, I really wanted it because I was doing a bunch of just manual, it was like pushing paper basically. We're updating a bunch of documentation. So it's just verifying and approving forms. And I was like, I really want to be standing while I do this because I'm going to fall asleep. Because the network just started going really slow and this is taking forever. Yeah, so I did have my laptop. I got my baby back. I need to put a label on it that says Caroline so people stop taking it.
And you're an engineer, so it's not like people listening, they might be like, why don't people have laptops?
Yeah, so other departments, it's pretty easy for them to get laptops. For our engineering department, most of our engineers, I am not one of them, use SolidWorks and AutoCAD very heavily. So in order to get a laptop that is able to do that, we have to spend a lot of money versus just getting a desktop. So 90% of our engineers have desktops. Since I'm a manufacturing engineer, I am constantly on the floor, like the production floor, and if I need to update documentation, if I need to look something up, I can't always do it on my phone, so I need my laptop. So I can do that stuff without having to travel 3 buildings down the street to go to my desk to make a change, to then walk back down the street to make sure that the change worked. So my computer will run SolidWorks and it will run AutoCAD, but since I don't open up large assemblies, I didn't need like a super mega laptop like they buy for engineering or design engineer managers. Because they all have laptops.
I guess we should start at the beginning rather than Monday. Sunday was Mother's Day.
Yes, Sunday was Mother's Day.
First full day back from vacation.
Yeah. Fortunately, the kids slept in a little bit, I think. I don't remember. It was a blur.
They were pretty tired.
Yeah. They were excited to be home, though. And I think they liked sleeping in their own beds.
Well, Lily is sleeping in a pack and play now.
Yeah, well... Okay, Elliot's happy to be sleeping in a crib. Lily won't stay asleep in her toddler bed for longer than like 2 hours, so she gets to sleep in a pack and play in her room. but that means we have no children sleeping in our room. The dogs don't count as children. They're still sleeping in our room.
For now. I mean, I think there was that one time where when Eli was still in our room and Lily was in the crib, that Clara kind of just disappeared and you found her in the toddler bed.
Oh, yeah. Every once in a while, we're like, where's Clara? And then she walks out of Lily's room. And we're like, what? And one day, Mom found muddy paw prints on Lily's bed. And we're like, okay, Clara likes Lily's bed, I guess. Maybe one day they will snuggle through the night together.
Clara won't protect her, but maybe they'll be scared together.
Yeah, they'll just think that the other one's there to protect them. That's how that'll work. So both of the children are sleeping in their own rooms.
We still have to paint Eli's room.
We do still have to paint Elliot's room.
Poor guy.
He doesn't care yet. We had a handful of groceries in the house, but nothing that we could really survive off of for an extended period of time. So I went to the grocery store, and then I decided, since it was Mother's Day and we had seen your mom all week, that we should invite my mom over for dinner and we should have steaks. So after I went to the grocery store, I went to the butcher shop to pick up some steaks and some other fixins.
They were pretty yummy.
They were. I got 6 8-ounce sirloin steaks. So it ended up being 3 pounds of steaks. And they were so yummy. We cooked them on the stove and then finished them off in the oven. You seasoned, I cooked. It was nice.
It was very good.
Mm-hmm.
You did good work.
I do. And then we remembered that Larry's birthday was on Saturday. And we were like, happy also birthday, Larry. Eventually, we will have cake with him.
I'm sure he won't say no to that.
No. Though they did enjoy the store-bought brownies and ice cream. Those were yummy.
Yes. Okay, and then Monday, we already said that we went back to work. It was craziness for me. I didn't actually go in the office because our office is still closed, although they are opening back up in June, and I will be staying home. Opened up the old laptop, fired her up. Windows decided to update.
So the only good thing about everybody borrowing my laptop was it only asked to do updates once this week, and it was on Friday.
Wow.
So because other people had been using it, they had to do the updates. So I didn't have to sit through 2 hours of updates because it was off for 12 weeks.
Well, mine was not 2 hours of updates, luckily.
Well, you were only off for 2 weeks.
Well, that's a lot in the business world.
It is.
A lot can happen in 2 weeks.
A lot of people, when I came into the office, were like, who are you again? Half of it was because I dyed my hair purple. Well, 3/4 of it was because I dyed my hair purple. The other one was just, oh yeah, you do still work here. So, but I was missed. I got the first email, the most recent email in my inbox was, so I know that you're going to want to empty out your inbox. Don't do that. Do these 3 tasks and then maybe start to go through your email. So it was that kind of week at work.
Yeah, I was able to get through my email. I have 3 meetings at least in the morning. Lots of meetings, lots of catching up, just trying to get a hold on what the heck is going on so I can get back. And people were, oh, you're back.
Here are 5 things for you to do.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they took advantage of me being back, that's for sure. Not just on Monday, but throughout the week. But yeah, I got through it all, and now it's Saturday. Your mom sent a picture of, was it a fake ad or a real ad or a picture of an office lady?
Oh, yeah, an office lady. She opens up her bottom drawer is open and there's a sleeping baby in the drawer.
Yeah.
And I was like, I wish. Well, and so this week I interacted with the owner of our company a lot more than I usually do during the course of a week. So Monday was the first day back for me. It was also the first day back for our returning co-op, and we had a new co-op that started that day too. So essentially my boss had 3 new employees on Monday. So Monday was kind of just get through the day, whatever we can get the co-ops to do, we'll get them to do, but mostly it's just going to be making sure that they have permissions to do the things that we need them to do in the future. So Wednesday, we actually all sat down and had a meeting, and we're like, hey, make sure everybody knows who they are. Here are some projects that we're working on, and then here's how we want to divide up projects over the next semester, and then we'll go from there once new co-ops come in. And then it was, oh, hey, where do I get new pens? Oh, yeah, okay, I'll give you a tour of the building so you can figure out where the supply closet is, the bathrooms are, and stuff like that. So it was me and one of my coworkers, and then the 2 new co-ops were going around the building building, we were like, oh yeah, they put in a gym, but we haven't been to it yet. So we'll go talk to one of the administrative assistants who's the one in charge of it and get her to let us into the gym so we can figure out what we need to do so we can use the gym. Well, she was on the phone and we're just all kind of hanging out around her desk like, it's no rush. Finish up your phone call and then we'll talk. And then the owner comes out of his office and he's like, hey, so why y'all standing around? And we're like, oh, we're waiting so we can get into the gym because we haven't seen it yet. And he's like, oh, let me grab my key. I'll take you. So he takes us to the gym, learn that, because I knew that he was the president of one of the Cincinnati area Ys.
The YMCA.
Yeah, the YMCA. And they had upgraded their equipment, and the company that they had bought new equipment from said, we'll give you $3,000, which is still ridiculously low, for all of this equipment that you don't want anymore. And he turned around and said, well, I'll give the Y $5,000. And they said, sold. Here is all of our old equipment that isn't even that old. Because one of the tenants moved out of our building, because we occupy about 75% of the building. Though at that point, we occupied more like 70% of the building. And they were debating what to do with the space. Apparently, putting in a daycare would have been more expensive for their insurance because there are too many liabilities. He actually did look into putting a daycare, mostly because my boss's boss was harassing him to put in a daycare so I would come back to work full-time sooner.
Specifically for you?
Yeah, apparently a lot of it had to do with me. And so it was either that or put in a gym. And since he got this great deal on all that gym equipment, they put in a gym. So we got waivers so we could fill those out. And we now have permission to use the company gym, not when we're getting paid by the company. So like I got to clock out before I go to the gym. And it's actually pretty nice. They don't have showers, but that's okay. I don't really know if I would want to shower at work anyway.
That would be weird.
It is. And there were people that did shower at work because we do have a random shower in one of the bathrooms in engineering. It was weird. They shut that down though.
During the day.
Yes. So like you'd go to microwave your food and one of the guys would like go on a 5-mile run, come back in, take a shower, and then go to work. And so you'd be microwaving your lunch and you'd hear the shower going and you're like, this is weird. Why are you doing this? Like, just run after work.
That is a little weird.
It is. So he showed us around the gym, and then I found random things for the co-ops to do. And apparently we're getting UC football players that are going to start on Monday that I have to find more tasks for them to do. So that's going to be fun.
They're UC football players?
Yes. They're going to be there for like a half semester. I have a job for them to do, and it's super annoying and super stupid. So it's perfect.
Well, when they start sucking in the fall, you can start texting them and being like, hey, do better. Are they freshmen?
I don't know. I'll meet them on Monday, I guess. Because I have my giant binder of lockout tagout documents that were allegedly scanned in and saved on the network. So, and like literally the binder is like this. It's like 4 inches thick. And stuffed of papers dating back to 2006.
Oh boy.
So it's each page needs to be saved as its own PDF on the network. And at least theoretically, that has been done because we had a previous co-op do that, but we have not audited it. So we need somebody to go through the whole binder and make sure that every single page is in there. So we're going to give that to the football players, among other tasks. They're probably going to hate us by the end of their time here.
Well, good luck to them. And good luck to their season.
Yeah. So I slowly got back into the swing of things, trying to figure out how to reintegrate into society because I have to be around people all the time and have to talk like an adult with other adults.
Man, getting old sucks.
It does. And because of the nature of my job, I'm involved with like every single department except sales and customer service. So anything that's going on, I get asked questions about. And usually I know at least a little something about the project because I'm super tangentially involved. Or like I was just talking to the person who's in charge of the project, just shooting the breeze for 5 minutes. So I found out some information about it. So I got the, hey, can you give me the status on this project? The thing that I'm not involved in? Here's what I know about it, but really you want to talk to him to figure out what exactly is going on. So I have to get back into my, I know all of the things.
It's hard when you're out 12 weeks.
It is. I email people and they're like, oh, they don't work here anymore. Oh, okay. Good to know. Who do I talk to then?
Yikes. So you are only going back part-time for a little bit.
I'm in the office Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, unless if the kids have a doctor's appointment, because their doctor is only in the office on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
Oh, boy.
So then I'll go in on a Tuesday or Thursday instead of like a Monday or a Friday. So the next doctor's appointment that I have on the schedule is for Zoe. On Tuesday, I have to drop her off without eating food.
She's getting her teeth cleaned.
She's getting her teeth cleaned. But the next human child's appointment is Elliot, and it's on a Monday. So I'll go into work on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday that week. Unless Familia wants me to come in Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I guess. I don't know. I'll tell them about it when we get closer to it.
So backtracking to Wednesday and Friday, Lily and Elliot went to my mom's house.
They did. And they survived.
And that was the first time?
It's the second time your mom has had both kids all day.
For an extended period.
Yes.
Gotcha. And it went okay, right?
Yeah. Everybody survived. No, like the house wasn't on fire or people weren't screaming when I walked in the door. So that was good.
Lily almost attacked you with a knife.
Lily did attempt to murder me on Friday.
She was no-nap Lily on Friday.
She was no-nap Lily on Friday. On Wednesday, when I picked up Lily, I was told that she needed to wear, quote unquote, a tea party outfit on Friday. I said she just wear whatever you dressed her in because
I was not informed of that.
I was like, she'll just wear what she's going to wear. Like, y'all can deal. Not going to try to explain to Joe what tea party attire is because I don't even know what tea party attire is. So Jenna, your sister, had gotten more tea party stuff in. Like she bought another tea set and she had just finished cleaning it and had laid everything out to dry when I got in the door. And then I worked on helping put the kids' stuff away so I could leave with the kids. And I go around the corner to check on Lily and there's just a plastic knife sitting on the floor. Like it's like a super plastic knife. It's not like a plastic knife that can actually do anything.
It's a kid-friendly knife.
It's less sharp than a butter knife. And she picks it up and I'm like, oh, hey, honey. And she holds it by the handle with the knife end with the pointy end towards me, making like she's going to hand it to me kind of. So I go, ah, and I start running away from her. Everyone else is in the kitchen and I go running by them like fake running, fake screaming. And they're like, what is going on? And then Lily rounds the corner with the knife and like the biggest smile on her face.
What are you doing to my child?
I'm like, she's gonna get me. Because I was gonna like a tickle attack her. And then she had a knife and I was like, oh my goodness. It was very much a fake scenario. She had no idea what was going on. It was funny for me more than anyone else.
Well, I'd heard that story today, for the first time.
Oh, did your mom tell you?
Yeah, she said that Lily attacked you with the knife. And I was like,
oh,
what?
yeah. I was there for that conversation.
Yeah, you were.
I need a nap.
And then on Thursday, you guys went on a field trip.
Yeah, so backtracking to Tuesday, my mom came over so we could get some laundry done. So between the two of us, we got like 3 or 4 loads of laundry done. I think we got all the dishes done too, because we could zone defense on the kids and trade off who was watching them, and the other person could get some chores done. And on Thursday, it was like, well, if you're not doing anything, maybe we'll get together. And she said, well, as of right now, I have no plans. So Thursday morning, I was like, hey, do you want to be crazy and go to Miami Whitewater? And she agreed. And that is when I learned that in our Great Parks episode, I am a complete liar.
You're a liar?
Yeah, because I talk all about the pirate ship water attraction that is at Miami Whitewater. It's gone. It's not there anymore. Mom says it hasn't been there for more than a year. I do not recall this, but it's still on their website. So now I'm like, do I need to go to Winton Woods and find out whether or not the Ark is still there? So I know that the one at Miami Whitewater is older because they installed the pirate ship first. And I want to say I was in like 3rd or 4th grade when they did that. And then eventually they installed Parky's Ark at Winton Woods. So Parky's Ark was younger than the pirate ship. But now I don't know if that's still there. So now we need to do research and go to Winton Woods because it has been a hot second since we have been to Winton Woods.
But it was on the website, right?
It was on the website.
So if it's on the internet, it must be true.
It must be. But there is some place that's looking for like a social media manager or an internet manager or something that is parks related. But I also follow a bunch of different parks on Facebook, so I can't give you any kind of specifics. So we went to Miami Whitewater on Thursday.
And you did the small loop?
We did the small loop fitness trail. We did not do any of the fitness things. We just kept the kids in strollers. It was a little chilly, and then the sun came out, and it was very warm in the sun. Once we did the loop, we took Lily to the playground where she ran around with all the bigger kids, like trying to do things with them, and they're like, oh my goodness, there is a small child getting in our way. Because there's like 10 kids trying to play hide and go seek tag. And Lily's like, I'm on the big kid play set. I'm going to crawl through this tunnel. When the kids are like, I need to get through this tunnel so somebody doesn't tag me. And I'm like, toddler, you're just going to have to deal. I don't care.
It's the middle of the day on a Thursday. Go to school.
Well, and like everybody was there with their grandparents. It was definitely a lot of grandparents with their children. There were a few moms there, but there was a significant number of grandparents there. So that was interesting.
So are these kids in online school?
I guess so. There was a very big divide in ages. It was like 3 and younger, and then like everybody else was like 6 and up. So I don't know.
That's weird to me.
I mean, they could have also been on lunch. Like they could have had like a break in the middle of the day because it was about noon when we made it to the park, like to the park.
Yeah.
We got to Miami Whitewater, I think about 11 or 11:15 or something like that.
Yeah, but everyone had a good time.
They did. We saw a older gentleman on rollerblades. That was cool.
Rollerblades are coming back.
They are. So he was rollerblading the outer loop. We were approaching the turnoff for the outer loop, and I look back just to make sure that nobody's like getting near us. And there's this guy on rollerblades, and he gets closer, and I'm like, oh, he's kind of old. Like, I hope he's okay. Like, but he's also in like, I think he has a helmet and like knee pads and elbow pads on and stuff, so he's protected. So he rollerblades past us, and then he rollerblades on one foot, like he's like a figure skater. Like he's got his arms out to the side and one of his legs completely behind him, and he goes like that to turn onto the outer loop trail. And I'm like, oh my goodness, Mom, like, do we need to keep an eye on him? And she's like, no, he's got it. Look at it. He's fine. And when we were leaving the park, he was getting back to his car. So I was like, okay, he made it through the whole trail. I don't have to worry about him anymore. Because I was in mama bear mode. Where is your mother?
Yeah, rollerblades are coming back. But we are also in the market for some patio furniture.
We are. I kind of sprung that one on you.
You did.
So currently, everything that we have patio furniture wise is a hand-me-down. So we got, well, the swing in the sunroom is new for us, but we've also had it since 2015. So we have a wrought iron table and chairs that we got from your grandmother, and then we have a outdoor table that seats 6 but only has 4 chairs from friends before they moved down south. So they're like, we don't want to take this with us in the move. Who wants it? And we said that we would take it. And we had a couch in the sunroom, but it was a hand-me-down couch that we had gotten for our living room when we first moved in. The dogs had kind of taken it over because it lived in the sunroom. Zoe had kind of destroyed the bottom of it when she was a puppy because her toys would get stuck under there, and then she tried to get them and she tore up the lining. It wasn't attractive anymore.
It was never really attractive, to be fair. Sorry, Molly.
Well, it was Molly's grandma's. Like, they were like, just take stuff out of the house. Like, do you want more than what you're currently taking? Because we need to get things out of here.
Well, I mean, it served its purpose for us.
It did. So it was the first couch that we had before we got something nicer that was also a hand-me-down.
We bought the house 2014. We bought our first couch in like 2017.
Yeah. When we moved into the house, we both had lived with our parents. We had not lived in apartments or anything where we had our own collection of furniture. So everything was either stuff we would have to buy, or so-and-so is moving and is getting rid of this. Hey, I'm getting a new couch. Do you want my old couch? That sort of thing.
Well, we were lucky because at the same time that we bought this house, my grandmother was moving to a nursing home. So she was getting rid of a bunch of furniture. We didn't take the couch, though.
No, because she kept that. She kept the couch.
She kept the couch. But we took her recliner, and like a lazy boy recliner, like a single chair. And your mom had a blue recliner as well that we took. And for a very long time, that's all we had.
Yeah. Until Matt's grandmother grandfather was moving.
Or did we get Molly's first?
We got Molly's first.
So Molly's grandmother.
Oh, yeah. But soon after we got into the house, Molly's grandmother was moving.
It's probably like 3 months, right?
Yeah.
3 or 4 months.
And she sent me pictures of stuff that, hey, do you want any of this stuff? And we said, oh, we'll take the couch. And I think we got some chairs from her as well that we put down in the library. And we used that couch for a long while until Matt's grandfather was moving. And he was like, hey, he has a sofa and a love seat that have literally never been used. Do you want them? And we said, sure, we'll give you pizza, because they didn't want anything for him. And we used those for 3 years. So everything that we have for outside pretty much is hand-me-down. Other than at some point your mom bought us a swing, and I put that together one weekend. And that just lives in the sunroom.
Was that the first episode of Drunk Engineering? Or was that the grill? The one and only episode.
I don't think it was Drunk Engineering. I think it was
Hungover Engineering.
Hungover Engineering. Yeah, we had... Because Matt stayed the night and we did something, and I woke up and you and Matt were still sleeping, and I was like, well, I have this box of swing in the sunroom. I'll just put that together until they wake up. And I want to say I got like 3/4, if not all of it together before you guys woke up.
Yeah.
And so then you guys were like, where's Caroline? And you just find me sitting on the swing in the sunroom. I'm like, hey, good morning. Glad you guys could wake up.
Yeah. The good old days when we could actually drink more than a glass of alcohol without falling asleep.
Yeah, so I decided that we need to get new things to add to our outdoor collection. So currently on the front porch, we just have 2 of the chairs from Grandma's set and a little end table that came with her set too, which works. But I was like, I want to get something that's like a little more fresh for that area. So I ordered their 2 rocking chairs with a little like bistro table. Might not even be a bistro table. It might be more like an end table. And I'm trying to find a couch set for the back patio. So I have something comfy to sit on while I watch the kids next summer. This summer, I won't be able to use it as much because Lily will need supervision on the swing set. Next year, well, Elliot will probably need supervision on the swing set. But maybe I can just have Lily do that. Second kid syndrome.
She might push him.
We'll at least be able to enjoy it more next year. But I'll probably be able to enjoy it some this year too. But have some new and decent outdoor furniture.
So, and then also on Friday, you went to Hillary's house for a girls' night. But it wasn't really a girls' night because Eli was there.
I did take Elliot with me. He was allowed to come. I asked. No one said no. So I was like, okay, the kid is coming.
He's a ham. The ladies love him.
They do. He's a sweetheart. And he's a good kid.
He just has $1 million smile.
He does.
He just kind of, it's like a sly smile. Like he's very mischievous.
Yes. And our children come with a disclaimer. It's like, do not base your desires to have children off of our children. So Lily was no nap Lily on Friday. And I was like, okay, we'll see what time she goes to bed. But typically, both of our kids are in bed by 9. It was going to end up being like oh my goodness, I can't believe that you have the good kid, if one of them went to bed and the other one didn't. But I texted you at 8:15, hey, Elliot's asleep. And you're like, Lily's asleep too. And I was like, sweet. Both kids are in bed. And I didn't bring a noise machine or a monitor for Elliot because I was like, there's not a whole lot of us. We'll be able to hear him if he makes some noise or something. And he slept through us being loud and making lots of noise. And I didn't realize that the room that I put him in was the room that half of the spa supplies were in. So people were constantly going in and out of the room. And they're like, yeah, he's still sleeping. Like, he doesn't care. And I'm like, second child. And our kids sleep through everything.
They do like their sleep.
They do.
Just like their parents.
Yeah.
So hopefully they stay that way.
Fingers crossed.
Oh, we're going to have that bratty third kid.
Yeah.
So finishing up the week on Saturday today, we ate a hearty breakfast at First Watch. That's like our go-to spot, breakfast spot. I think we said that before, but we like to go there and then we like to walk the walking trail, which is right behind it.
Yeah, it's a nice trail. It used to be an old train track.
Yeah, unfortunately, it doesn't go in a circle. It's just a straight line. So you have to be strategic. If you have kids, you have to be strategic.
Yeah. There are 3 entrance points.
Yeah.
So you just pick a spot that has parking, but then you have to figure out how far you're going to go before you turn around.
Yeah, so the trail that begins at First Watch, it goes down the hill.
It's down a very big hill.
Yes. And then it's about, what would you say, 2/3? Something like that. It's not half.
It's a third. It's a third from first watch to the end. If you go towards if you're going to the parking lot at Hutchinson, that's 2/3 of the trail, because that's definitely the longer stretch, is from Hutchinson to first watch.
Yeah. That's what I mean. So if we went at the beginning of the trail, that's what I mean. If we went to the beginning of the trail and we went to the end, the path to get to first watch is about 2/3 of the way through.
Yeah. So we decide to go towards the elementary school and then come back, so we can do the shorter leg.
So we only did 1/3 of the trail, and it's about 2 miles or 1.5 miles or something like that.
Something like that. I used to know, and then I forgot. I think it's like a mile. So we probably did about a half mile.
So if you start at the beginning, it's 1 mile to the end and then 1 mile back. So you do 2 miles total.
Correct. And we were semi on a time crunch because we were meeting your dad to pick up a fridge for Matt.
Yes.
Because on vacation, Matt was like, hey, I'm going to get a new fridge, and I'm going to sell my old fridge on Craigslist. And I was like, our garage fridge is possibly on the way out. How much is selling that fridge for? And I'm like, hey, offer of slightly less money than that. He said sold.
And now it's in our garage.
It's not plugged in yet.
No.
According to your father, we have to wait 24 hours. But we kind of have to finagle stuff around the garage first before we can plug it in anyway.
Yeah, maybe we'll do that tomorrow.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Maybe. But because it was also your father's birthday on Friday.
Happy birthday, Dad.
Yeah.
Old man. Super old man.
He's almost 60.
The day that we are recording this, which is in May, is my dad's birthday. But the day that this episode releases is your birthday, which is June 3rd.
We have a whole slew of birthdays that happen boom, boom, boom. And Clara's birthday starts that off. Because it goes Clara's birthday, and then a week later it's Larry's birth. Well, it's the day that we celebrate Clara's birth.
On my calendar, her birthday is today as well.
Yeah, so...
because that's what Ron originally said.
Yeah, we got very conflicting dates as to when these puppies were born. So everyone else celebrates their birthdays on the 1st, so we just celebrate Clara's birthday on the 1st too. I don't know. Whatever. So we celebrate Clara's birthday on the 1st. We celebrated by abandoning her and going to Myrtle Beach. Larry's birthday is the 8th. Your father's birthday is the 15th.
Yes.
Your brother's birthday is June 2nd. My birthday is June 3rd. We have a friend whose birthday is June 4th. We don't celebrate his birthday with him. It's just funny that we know. But I was actually born the day before him. Your brother was a whole year later. So, and then your cousin's birthday is the 12th. And then your sister's birthday is the 24th.
Yes.
But then we snuck in there with our anniversary on the 20th.
Yes. And my other cousin is July 3rd.
Yes. And you have another cousin July 3rd. So it's this whole slew of birthdays that start off May 1st. And it's almost every week we have a birthday.
We had a pizza party for my dad. He turned 59 today.
Yeah, because your mom was like, oh yeah, your dad, don't forget, kids, your dad's birthday's on Saturday. And I was like, hey, he's going to be at our house anyway. Let's do surprise pizza. And I don't know about you guys in the garage. For me, your mom, and your sister, it was hilarious. Because the van is on the street. He did not notice. Your mother's van is parked on the street.
Yeah, I don't know if he noticed or he was very focused.
No. He did not notice. Your sister and your mother are not quiet people by nature, and they were not quiet people. I could hear them laughing all the time, and I was like, your father's going to hear it.
He was very focused on this refrigerator.
Yeah. I come out to the garage, and I'm like, oh, yeah, the kids are in their cribs. You guys need any help? And then he finally comes inside, and I'm walking down from the kitchen, and your mom and sister have set up in the sunroom, and you're like, oh, I think Lily's in the sunroom. And he's just like, why is your sister here? And we're like, just keep walking out to the sunroom.
He said, go ask her.
Yeah. So anyone else, and I don't they definitely wouldn't have been surprised. They'd have been like, why do I hear people from my household and I'm not at my house? You know what it is? He probably just tunes them out on a regular basis.
Probably.
This is probably the last weekend we're going to be able to semi-enjoy the outdoors before it's just cicadas screaming about wanting to get laid.
That's a very cynical way to put it.
Well, I mean, it's true.
They live in the trees and we don't have any trees.
I think they also scream in bushes, but I don't know.
No, we do have a bush.
We do have bushes all along the side of the house. The cicada nymphs, or the little ugly brown cicadas, come out of the ground because they say, hey, it's warm. I can make babies now. After 17 years of growing in the ground, they crawl up on the side of things, typically houses. They shed their exoskeletons and slowly turn into an ugly black thing with big wings. And then they fly all over the place and scream trying to get laid. And so there are 1-year cicadas. So like over the summer, you'll hear cicadas every year, but they're pretty chill. No, this is just like full on. Everyone is screaming all the time. Super looking forward to it. They said that our area is going to be some of the hardest hit. So like for Cincinnati, and we're like, yay.
We'll see.
At least we have this new to us refrigerator. So May means that we get 513 day of May 13th.
And that is the area code for the Cincinnati area.
Yeah, so there was lots of 513 stuff.
Although Westside Brewing has a 513 beer.
They do. We should get a growler of that.
Well, it's in cans.
We should get cans of that. Why didn't you get cans of it?
I don't think Kroger had it, and it's a pale ale, so I didn't know if I
drank a pale ale last night. You won't die.
I don't think Kroger had it, and I didn't want to go to the marathon because you were hangry.
This is true. I was pretty hangry.
Well, today was chili day, and my chilies take like 3 hours to make.
Yeah.
I have to defrost everything. I have to chop up the onion and the bell peppers.
Well, see, it wouldn't take so long if you didn't decide like 2 hours before we normally eat dinner, hey, we should do chili today. And when we don't have half of the ingredients in the house.
I will admit that was my fault. I thought it was earlier than it actually was. And it was like 5:15 when I decided that.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Lily ate dinner before we did.
Yeah.
By a lot.
Yeah, I didn't eat dinner until like 8:30.
Yeah.
Whoops. You're not supposed to eat after like 8 or something.
We're not intermittent fasting like the Dershes are, so we can do what we want.
I thought that was your mom's rule, though.
I mean, you really probably shouldn't eat after 9. Like, once you get close to bedtime, you really shouldn't eat anything. But as long as you don't have issues with reflux, you're kind of okay.
Well, this had a lot of tomatoes in it,
It did. And spices.
Which is super acidic. But you ate before 9, so.
I did, and I put a bunch of sour cream in it, and you're going to be getting me ice cream later, so it's fine.
I'm going to be doing what? On that note, it's time for another edition of What's Bugging Caroline in Children's TV this week.
So, there is an episode of Mickey Mouse Clubhouse that starts off all cute and sweet. The professor, whose full name is Ludwig von Drake, we like him, uncle or some kind of relative to Donald Duck.
He has a cute little accent.
He does have a cute little, like, German accent. He has this thing that makes balloons. And so everyone in the clubhouse gets 2 balloons. And Daisy decides that she wants pictures with all of the balloons. So as people are getting their balloons, she is asking them, hey, may I borrow your balloons so I can get a picture with all of the balloons, and then I will give you your balloons back. So because there are 6 of them, and they're getting 2 balloons each, she ends up with 12 balloons.
Oh, no.
And as she grabs the last 2 balloons, actually, it's not even as she grabs the last 2 balloons. Like, she stands there for a minute with the last of the balloons. She starts rising into the air because these 12 balloons are enough to lift her. And then, to try to stop her from lifting away, Minnie and Pluto, so Minnie grabs onto Daisy, and then Pluto grabs onto Minnie. And they continue to rise up in the air. There is like 0 stop to their trajectory, even though we have now like tripled the weight on these balloons.
Well, their trajectory stops as far as like...
Eventually they stop rising.
And then they go forward, right?
Yeah, they just get blown by the wind. And so they're trying to figure out how to get them down. And the solution isn't, well, just let go of 2 balloons. Because the last 2 balloons is when you had the issue. So eventually they get Pluto off, and they get Pluto down, and they get Minnie down, and it's just Daisy with the balloons again, and they catch her at a Ferris wheel because
Ferris wheels are tall.
Ferris wheels are tall, and thanks, sweet baby Jesus, she went past the Ferris wheel. So since Mickey was strapped into the Ferris wheel, when he grabbed Daisy, he could keep her down. And then they strapped Daisy into the Ferris wheel, and then they tied the balloons to the Ferris wheel so no one would go anywhere anymore.
That's good. I'm happy that they got down safe.
But that's not how physics works.
It's not?
No. When Minnie grabbed onto Daisy, that should have been the end of the episode. When Pluto grabbed on, you just started getting very unrealistic with how any of these things work. Like, I know people are bothered by Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner and all of their antics with anvils and dynamite and stuff.
And the painted wall that
the Roadrunner can run through,
yeah.
but the Coyote can't.
Yeah.
But, like, kids get how that's fake.
I hope.
Yeah.
Don't run into a brick wall, people.
Oh, there was somebody that drove into one. Because somebody, like, as an art piece, somebody had painted a tunnel on the side of a building and a car drove into it. Nobody was hurt, so it's funny. But, like, it's a simple physics. It's not even hard physics.
Maybe they need a better writer.
That's probably what they really need.
Real world problems, real world solutions.
Yeah, just make it more realistic, please.
So, I noticed that you have an adult beverage. What are you drinking?
Well, I am currently in vacay mode, as you can see on this super visual medium of a podcast. I got this nice vacay mode tumbler as a present when we were on vacation for my birthday.
And what plaque did they give you as well?
I also have a plaque that is currently sitting in front of me that says, "I drink and I know things." And it is very true that I do know things. I know everything.
Because you're a mom.
Because I am a mom.
Do you also have eyes on the back of your head?
That's standard issue.
Okay. As soon as you pop out a kid, that happens.
You have been the victim of the eyes in the back of my head before, so I don't know why you're questioning this. Hey, honey, I see you're getting some ice cream in the kitchen right now. Why don't you get me some? As I am on the opposite side of the house.
That just means you have super hearing.
X-ray vision is also part of the package.
Oh, X-ray vision.
Yep. So I am currently drinking a Westside Brewing Pilsner. It is 5.1% and it has 34 IBUs. Brewed with just one malt and 2 hop varieties, our German Pilsner is proof that sometimes simple is best. A bright straw yellow lager with a big white head, the delicately floral and spicy aroma of Hallertau Mittelfrau, hope I said that right, hops, combines with a light, crackery malt flavor to make an incredibly crisp, quaffable brew. Prost.
In other words, it's hella German.
Very German. So as I have said before on this podcast, Westside does very traditional brews that they make to style. So they do a traditional Pilsner. They do a traditional lager. They have 2 or 3 what I would call like trendy adjacent beers, because they do have a tart amber, which is kind of a sour. And I want to say they might actually have a sour, but they might not.
The Braille Ale was sour-ish.
The Braille Ale had some fruit in it. But for the most part, they just do true style stuff.
They do a Goza.
Yeah. And it's like, Listerman has some really cool names, but they're just like, it's Pilsner. You're going to order Pilsner. You're not going to order Ain't Your Grandpa's Pilsner or something like that.
This is a good beer, especially for the summer, which is when they typically brew it.
It is. I would like this when I mow the lawn.
Yeah, I was going to say it's a good post-lawn mowing beer. You sit on the front porch when it's 90 degrees out. It's clean. It's refreshing. It's really good for a hot summer day. And it's good now too, right?
It is. So what are you drinking, honey?
I am drinking a 50 West American Lager. It's 4.5% ABV, and it has 16 IBUs, and their description is as follows. Finally, a light-bodied lager that doesn't skimp on the flavor. This clean, refreshing take on the lager style masterfully blends Saaz hops with malt sweetness to create a crisp, thirst-quenching brew that's perfect for drinking in the hot summer sun.
And since yours is gone now, I'm assuming it's good?
It is. It's pretty delicious. Yeah. So I don't think I've had this one before.
I don't think we have either. We don't really get a whole lot of 50 West brews typically.
Yeah, we don't.
They're very east side though, so they're hard to get to for us. But they are getting more, well, they've probably had good distribution for a while.
It's a lot of IPAs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like pale ales, IPAs. Typically, I don't go for the lagers. Like I go for like a Pilsner or a Hefeweizen lagers are good. And I like this. I was in the mood for a lager tonight.
Mm-hmm.
But typically, if I'm going to spend the money for a craft beer, I want something that's a little more something that I can't get from Anheuser-Busch.
We don't really buy anything from Anheuser-Busch anymore, though.
No, but this is very comparable. This is who they're going after in the market, the Budweiser drinkers.
This is true.
This is also really refreshing. This would go really good on the front porch, hot summer day.
On those new rocking chairs that I'm getting.
Yes, after we cut the grass and do yard work all day, this would be really, really good. And it's really good now, too, in our dining room.
Yeah.
Cheers to the weekend, and Lord help us in the week ahead, because starting tomorrow, we are going to have to do it all over again. More crazy ventures are ahead, and we will make sure to share them with you each week right here on the Craft Parenting Podcast.
It's past my bedtime. Like, I'm too old for this. Like, we should go to bed or something. I'm pretty old now.
That is true. When you turn 30, your bedtime starts at like 7 o'clock.
I mean, we've pretty much been like not super late night party people, but when there was a picture that was floating around of somebody had set up their kitchen for a party and they had a banner that said, "Please leave by 9." I was like, where can I get that banner?
Please leave by 9.
We need that. Then I can get in bed by 10 after I clean up after all of you, or at least do a quick cleanup so nothing goes bad overnight.
We aren't really the party people that we used to be. So in the next foreseeable future, we are going to be discussing the roaring 20s, as it were, when we were party people.
Yeah.
And we are going to talk about some accomplishments that you did and I also did, because our accomplishments have a lot of overlap.
They do have a lot of overlap. So when I turned 20, we already knew each other. When you turned 20, we already knew each other as well. So I have a question for you first, though. How does it feel being ancient?
Wow. I am not ancient.
You've been 30 for almost 2 years now.
I have to deal with the young folk. That's how it feels. You young folk with your purple hair and your TikToks.
And your snappity snaps. And your loud rock music.
And your book face.
Yes.
And your tweeter.
And your Vines. Oh, wait. Dating myself now. Vines are so like 4 years ago.
Twitter bought Vine and then destroyed it.
Yeah. Actually, no, because Vine was a thing when you were working at La Rosa's, and that was forever ago at this point. Oh, my goodness.
I stopped working at La Rosa's in 2013, August 2013.
Yeah. So that was like 8 years ago, Vine was a thing. Oof. If for you younger folk out there, Vine is basically TikTok, but not China-based that we know of.
I think they were limited to 10 seconds.
You think you were limited to 10 seconds like you were originally with Snaps. And that was where Damn Daniel was the thing. And that's the only one that I really remember as being like just a straight Vine. Because a lot of the Vines too were like early internet memes, like Charlie Bit Me. That was in early early internet videos.
That was like YouTube, I thought.
That was YouTube. But I think there was some of it bled into Vine too. I don't know. I never did anything with Vine.
They did like an auto-tune thing and stuff like that.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. We are old. So when I was 20, let's see here. So I started college when I was 18. My sophomore year was when I started co-oping. And at some point during that summer, I want to say, between my sophomore and junior year, very early on in college, someone that I knew through work at the library said they were really bummed because they wanted their granddaughter. She wanted to join a Girl Scout troop, but no one was willing to be the troop leader. And so I was talking to my old Girl Scout troop leader about it. And I was like, so I was kind of thinking maybe I would ask one of your daughters if they wanted to co-lead a troop with me, because we're all crazy people.
Because you don't have anything to do.
No, I don't have anything to do. I mean, at this point, I'm a full-time college student in getting a degree in mechanical engineering, where during freshman orientation, I was told that you can't really even have a part-time job with this major. And I had a part-time job, though I think he was just blowing smoke. We danced with the Donnerschwaben, the German society, and we were doing stuff with them. Like at that point, we were doing 2 practices a week.
We were doing the shoe plotters on Monday and the youth group on Tuesday.
Yes. And then events all throughout the year for weekends with them. And I had a part-time job working at the library that I was going to be quitting soon because I was going to start being a full-time employee because I was going to start co-oping. So with co-op, you are still a college student, but you are working for a company full-time for, at that point, it was a quarter, and then we switched over to semesters. So was 3 or 4 months of you working as a full-time employee.
It's 10 weeks or 12 weeks, I guess.
For this company. And then you go back to school. And the way the engineering department did it was they would only offer classes fall or winter quarter and then spring or summer quarter. So if you missed a class, you missed a class, and you would have to wait a whole year to be able to take it. So like if you failed out of winter thermodynamics, it wasn't like you could take it again in the spring or the summer. You had to wait until the fall for you to be able to take thermodynamics again. So they were like very much like you need to stay on top of your grades, but they made it really easy to make sure that you were taking all of the right classes. So you didn't necessarily miss something because you didn't schedule it correctly.
In mechanical engineer, there's a lot of you need this class before you can take this class.
Correct. So I wasn't busy at all. I was doing nothing with my life, and I took on a Girl Scout troop. So I had 13 brownies.
Those are first graders?
Second graders.
Second graders.
So I had them for 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. And then, so they were brownies, because 2nd and 3rd grade is brownies. And then 4th and 5th grade is juniors. And we were debating whether or not we were going to bridge to cadets. And enough of the girls said no that I said, okay, I can find you another troop if you want to find another troop, but I can't stay around for 2 girls because I've got my own stuff that I have to deal with now. Because at that point we were engaged and I was starting to get into actually having a full-time job. So I was like actual adulting now. And in addition, I want to say 2 years into having a Girl Scout troop, if even it was 2 years into having a Girl Scout troop, I became the program director for our summer camp for our service unit. So it was a day camp and it was only in the evenings and it was only for a week. So it wasn't like a super huge time suck, but we had all the planning beforehand. And that week would just be like I don't think you really ever saw me.
At first, you weren't the program director, though.
No, so originally I was just a volunteer.
Yeah.
And then camp didn't happen for a year, and a new person was taking over, and they said, hey, does anybody want to help do Twilight Camp? And I was like, I can help. And then they're like, you want to be a director? And I was like, sure. And I was probably 21 at that point. So that was lots of fun. I mean, I really did enjoy it, but it was very much I would get to work at 8, or I would try to get to work at 7 so I could leave work early to go to camp. Well, pick up dinner on the way to camp, go to camp, get stuff set up, actually do camp, because camp was only 3 hours, but it was 2 hours of setup beforehand and an hour of cleanup afterwards. And then we just started talking. So I would get home at 11 o'clock at night to get a few hours of sleep to turn around and do it all over again. But the girls had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun. There were multiple instances of, because my camp name is Piglet, what do you do? And I'm like, oh, I'm a mechanical engineer. And they're like, you're an engineer? Because I have 3 personalities. Well, 3 personas. I have the typical me, I have camp me, and I have work me. And they all 3 overlap because I have skills that I use in all of them. And a lot of the skills that I learned at camp, I utilize at work. It's great for conflict resolution. And I am like a very bubbly, one could describe me as crazy person at camp, as opposed to work where I'm more reserved, but sometimes the crazy does come out. And so they're like, you don't seem like an engineer. And I'm like, yeah, I'm an engineer. This is what my job is. And then I go to camp so I can do all this arts and fun stuff, because camp is also my happy place, which was great for the girls because they got to see an example of an engineer, like a female engineer, and I got to have lots of fun at camp, because sometimes we would do things at camp because the girls wanted to do them at camp, but also I wanted to do them. So I did that up until COVID hit, because we were going to have camp in 2020. And then COVID became a thing. And I was like, yeah, even if Girl Scouts says that we can have camp, I'm not messing with this, because I'm not taking on that responsibility of, if something happens at my camp, it's partially like due to me. And I just don't want to have to deal with that.
They would probably sign something that would...
Oh, there would for sure be like liability waivers where it'd be, we're not responsible for any of this.
But you would feel bad.
Yeah, but like even though it was outdoors, we would still have to keep the girls 6 feet apart. We'd still have to do all of this cleaning, and it was definitely not going to be worth it. So we're like, no, I'm not doing it. And we're not doing camp this year either, because we didn't know what the guidelines were going to be when we needed to start planning camp. But I'm also taking a step back from camp because I have 2 small children and getting to work at 7 to come home at 11 o'clock at night. Not really a thing that I can do anymore.
No.
So, I forgot another crazy thing that I did during all of this too. I started a side hustle.
Yeah.
So I started Caroline's Creative Crafts.
The original blog. That, like, I don't even think it went live.
I think I posted like 2 or 3 things. I could probably find the blog if I wanted to, but there's nothing really useful there. If it still exists. I don't know. Does WordPress ever get rid of websites?
I don't know.
It was a free website. So I had Caroline's Creative Crafts. I sold things at craft fairs with my friend Molly, who she had and still has MLS Expressions. I mean, I still have Caroline's Creative Crafts. I sold some stuff this year. I'm looking at maybe making some more things to sell, but infinite free time. So odds are very low that will happen.
You sold this year. You sold stuff.
I sold inventory for the most part.
Yeah.
And then I had a friend who requested some items for her horses, and I made her some things, but she specifically requested those, which is why I made them, because I didn't have anything already made that fit the bill. So then I managed to graduate with a mechanical engineering degree.
Yes.
And full-time job.
Yeah, and back then in 2014, that was when the market was really down. It was just starting to go back up.
Yeah. So you had some issues getting a job after you graduated, just because not a lot of places were hiring.
Yeah, well, not really. I mean, I got a job right away, pretty much. I graduated it was like April 28th or something, and my first day was like at the end of June.
Yeah, so it wasn't that bad. I had started applying to places the summer before my senior year. So when I was still on CoOp, before my last year of college. And so I just applied to some places on LinkedIn. I got a call for an interview one day when I was in lab, and it's like, hey, I'm with this company and we'd like to bring you in for an interview. Can you come over like on Monday? And I was like, sure. And I interviewed on Monday, and they're like, so what kind of schedule do you look at for like coming into work? And I was like, well, I don't graduate college until April. And they're like, what? And I was like, yeah, on my resume, expected graduation date, April 2014. It's 2013 right now. Like, I can maybe start part-time in December if I do part-time college for my last semester. And that's what I ended up doing. They gave me a job offer. I started at the end of fall semester, worked for 2 weeks, left for a week because we went down to Florida and got engaged, and then came back and worked part-time until May. And then I started full-time and have been there full-time ever since.
So that in itself is a accomplishment.
Well, yeah, because the other thing is, too, you co-opt. I co-opt as well. Typically, if you're graduating with a job, it's the same place that you co-opt. I never co-opt where I work now. I co-opt for the government, and then I co-opt for GE because it's Cincinnati. Half of the engineers that come out of Cincinnati end up working for GE at some point. And then I found this place, and I've really liked it. I like the work that I do.
Yeah.
So I'll stick around.
Tell the story about the interview.
Oh, yeah. This is like my favorite story to tell, too. I think this was after obviously we did not clearly read her resume. Like, I already know that they did not clearly read my resume because they would know that I had not graduated yet. The VP of engineering, so my boss's boss, who's now my boss's boss's boss, because we've restructured some departments. But he was like, so is this your dream job? And I said, no. And he
straight faced too.
Straight faced, like, no. I mean, the other thing is too, like, I'm still in college. So, and this is one of my first interviews for a full-time job. But I'm also like, I'm not going to lie. No, this isn't my dream job. And he looks super taken aback. Like, what? Why are you here then? And I said, my dream job is to work for Disney or Lego. And then I think the light bulb clicked of, oh, okay, yes, I did ask you if this is your dream job. And he's like, well, would you be happy here? And I was like, yeah, I could see this being work that I would enjoy doing because it was like a little bit of design, a lot of problem solving, mostly hands-on, stuff where I would always have to be thinking on my feet. And that's stuff that I like to do. But when you say dream job, I'm not thinking, yeah, I'm not going to be miserable coming to work every day. I'm thinking like ultimate goal, where do I want to work? It doesn't have to be realistic. And now maybe with working from home, I could be an Imagineer with Disney, but it would for sure be more design-based stuff, which I don't want to sit in front of a computer and design all day. So I'd have to be down in Florida or out in California.
And you don't want to be Florida man.
Well, you would technically be Florida man. I would be Florida woman. But most of the stories are Florida man. Yeah. I don't want to be where all of the crazies are.
Sorry, Florida.
I love you, Florida. I love to visit.
Temporary. It's a temporary relationship.
Yeah. Then I like to go home.
But we also purchased a house. We got engaged first.
So yeah, we got engaged. I started work full time. So you had a year of full time under your belt. I had a month or two, maybe a full time under my belt. And we said, well, we're getting married in about a year. We should probably start looking at houses because we didn't know how long it was going to take us to try to actually find a house.
We had a friend who got married in January, and they started too late to look for a house.
Yeah, so we had friends that had started to look too late for a house, so they were trying to find an apartment to move into, so they wouldn't have to live with one of their parents as a married couple.
But luckily, they found a house.
Yeah, but they were closing on a house while they were doing final stages of wedding planning.
Yes.
And so it was like super crunch time on two different things, and we're like, we do not want to be about that life.
Yeah. So we learned from them, and we started a year before the wedding.
So in July, we found a house that we liked, and we put an offer in for it, and it was accepted. And our parents were kind of like, are you sure you don't want to wait till it's a little bit closer to the wedding? And we're like, no, we like this house. Like, the house itself isn't great, but the bones of it are good. It's got pretty much everything that we're looking for in a house. It's just, it needs updates. But we can move into it and it'll be fine. So we put both of our names on the mortgage, even though we weren't married yet.
It needs a lot of updates.
It did need a lot of updates.
A lot more than we thought.
Yeah.
That's a whole different podcast.
That is a whole different podcast. So then it was, we basically put wedding planning stuff on hold for 2 or 3 months, maybe not even that long, to try to acquire furniture, find a house, and then close on the house. So almost a full year before our wedding, we had a house. Did not have to worry about moving into one of our parents' basements and that whole semi-awkward situation. So, and then we discovered, oh yeah, the house needs a little more work than we thought. But
we discovered that a little bit later.
Yeah, we only really discovered that when we started actually getting into project. So you slept in the house the first night. We had the keys.
Yes.
And then we slowly moved furniture over from my mom's house because things that we had been acquiring, we shoved in her garage in her basement.
Because like I said earlier, my grandmother was moving pretty much at the same time.
But she closed on her house in June, and we weren't going to close on our house until July.
Yes.
So everything that we took from her house, we had to put in storage at my mom's house to then bring to this house.
Yeah, and we put out a call on Facebook asking friends and family to help us move and for beer and pizza.
And we got everything in one move, so that was nice.
Yeah,
One trip.
we had a couple trucks, like pickup trucks. We didn't even have to rent a U-Haul.
I mean, we also didn't have a whole lot at that point either.
No, we didn't have a lot, but we had a lot of big stuff.
Yeah.
We would have had to have a U-Haul if it weren't for our friends.
Correct.
And the manpower, because I don't think you and I could have moved like a dresser up through the front door.
We learned with the futon the first night that you lived in the house that we can't move clunky furniture together.
Well, it was super heavy furniture.
Yes. Pretty much everything that we got from Grandma was solid wood because that's what they used back in the day. So everything was heavy and thick with multiple C's.
It took more than just 2 people to lift that.
Yeah. Well, even the dry bar, which wasn't huge, was super heavy because we recently dropped that off at your brother's house.
Yeah.
So we slowly remodeled the house as we've been in it. We slowly added furniture and got rid of old furniture, either as things broke or we finally tackled making that room our own.
So just real quick, let's rattle off the remodels that we did.
In semi-order.
The guest bathroom.
We redid the guest bathroom, the library,
Mm-hmm.
the living room and the dining room.
We painted that, yeah.
Yep. Well, we got furniture.
Furniture, and we painted, yep.
The nursery, which was really a guest bedroom. Front porch.
Yes.
The kitchen, because the front porch was the test for the contractor before we had him do the kitchen. Because based on whether or not you can replace a weird support system with something that's actually legitimate is a great test for whether or not you can remodel a kitchen. Had him redo the kitchen. Later had him redo our master bathroom because we just decided that we would like our marriage to stay intact. Let's just get this bathroom done. And with that, we painted the bedroom as well. We intended to do the office. We did it when it was Lily's room.
Yes.
And then the basement. And the basement was our last big project.
Those are like major remodels. And then we did some electric work in the sunroom as well.
Yeah, we did some electric work in the sunroom. We grounded all of the outlets, or at least most of the outlets in the house. Added in GFIC outlets to all of the bathrooms and kitchen.
Oh, in the bathroom too, you crawled in the attic.
Yeah, so when we redid the guest bathroom, because this house was built in the 50s, they didn't put in ventilation for the bathrooms. Or I guess they did for the master bathroom, or somebody else put it in for the master bathroom, but we didn't have it for the guest bathroom. So I crawled through the attic to actually install a vent for the guest bathroom, because at the time it was either myself or my mother were the only 2 people who would be able to actually fit in the attic.
I suppose now Lily can do it.
Now we can make Lily do it. That's correct. But it would be like Baby Yoda trying to repair the Mandalorian ship, where he's saying, replace the blue one and the red one and don't let them touch. And he's like, what? I don't know what any of that was you just said. Touch 2 wires together. Bzz. So she's not quite there to be able to help us with any work in the attic.
She toddler helps.
She does toddler help.
But she's going to stay away from the attic.
Yes. Let's keep her out of the attic, please.
Larry and I replaced the attic fan because we have one of those.
Yes, we replaced the attic fan because the old one died. Did we go a whole summer without an attic fan?
No.
We went like half a summer without an attic fan because it died in the middle of summer.
It did.
And then we're like, this is definitely getting replaced before next summer because attic fans are amazing.
I was between jobs at that point, so I think we replaced it relatively quickly.
Yeah.
But we also, Larry and I also were crazy, and we dug a 100-foot trench.
Oh, yeah.
In our side yard.
Well, so were you the crazies or was I the crazy? So it was Friday. It was raining a lot. Joe was home because he was between jobs. We had been having issues with water getting in the basement when it rained too much. And it was something that we knew, at least we kind of knew about when we bought the house. And we had a structural engineer come out just to make sure the foundation was fine. And he said the foundation's fine. You just need to regrade your side yard and or put in a French drain. Because since they had a garden that went all across the side of the house, they also had the garden go up along the fence. So it created this L that turned into a pool anytime it rained too hard. So it was very frustrating because then that water would stand there and then slowly drain into our basement. So you told me that, hey, we're getting some water in the basement again. And I'm like, yay, this is great. We're digging a trench when I get home.
At the time, the basement wasn't remodeled and the water just went right to the drain.
Yes. You'd occasionally have to sweep water to redirect it towards the drain, but for the most part, it all went down the drain.
When it was, in this example, it was a lot, but for the most part,
it wasn't a whole lot.
Yeah.
So I get home from work, I change my clothes. It's still pouring down rain outside, which is nice because if you want to know where water's going, when there's a bunch of water is a good time to figure out where the water's going.
I took a bunch of pictures too.
Yeah. So I grabbed a shovel and started digging a trench through the side yard to redirect water more towards the backyard. And that was the start of our French drain.
Yeah, and to kind of paint a picture, modern houses, they have a gutter system. And typically the gutter system, there's PVC pipes and it goes underground and it empties into the street. So our house doesn't have that. The gutters go down.
We don't know where the gutters go.
Yes.
So we think that they drain to the street, but we don't know for sure.
We don't know. Like modern houses, you can see the pipe on the curb. That's what I'm saying. We don't have that. So our pipes, our gutters just go down and it's concrete. They go into concrete and they go down. We don't know where they go. So for the French drain, it was kind of tricky because we couldn't connect pipes to the gutter like you normally would in a normal house.
Yeah, and you can't drain your French drain into your neighbor's yard because that's not kosher. So we found a decent place to drain it where it would get most of the water away from the house, but wouldn't like dump it in our neighbor's house.
So I guess we had two choices. We could have somehow dug a trench in the side yard and we need to put the water somewhere. So we could have dug a trench from the side yard to the street, but we would have had to go under concrete.
We would have had to go under the sidewalk or replace that section of the sidewalk and get permission to reroute it. We
would have had to go through government, I guess, get permits and stuff like that.
Yes.
So we didn't want to do that. So instead, we dug 100-foot trench from the top of where the house is on the side yard, all the way to the backyard.
And around our shed.
Yeah, so at the time we had a shed and we had a tree.
Oh yeah, we went around the tree too.
Yeah, and we had to make sure that it sloped. And it was not an easy job because every time we put the shovel in that ground, there was a rock.
Yep.
Not clay, not a pebble, a rock the size of my head, bigger than my head. 5 heads. So it took us probably a week to get it.
I think it was about a week
to get it all done. So it was a lot of labor, and we worked morning to not like 5 p.m. but like 3 maybe because it was hot. It's like late June at that point, maybe even July.
I don't remember. It's been a while.
And then once we dug the trench, we had to lay the pipe, put in some gravel, and then put the dirt on, make sure it sloped. The important part was it had to slope from the top to the bottom to where it let out. And it did, and it worked. So then we got married in 2015. That's a big accomplishment.
In between all of this stuff, we got married in 2015.
Yes.
Went to Napa Valley in San Francisco, drank a lot of wine, and had a lot of yummy food.
We traveled a lot as well.
We did. We typically go like 2 places a year, usually someplace close and then someplace far.
Yes. The 3 big trips that I would highlight would be Europe, Washington, D.C., and New York City.
Which were the last big trips that we did. We do the occasional trip to Disney. Europe, we toured Edinburgh, London, and Paris. Washington, D.C., we did so much walking, and we learned important things to look out for when figuring out where you want your hotel to be.
Yes.
Make sure that the metro stop is not 4 blocks away. Make it like 1 or 2 blocks away. Because it might have even been more like 5 or 6 blocks to get to the metro.
It was like a 20-minute walk or something.
Yeah. So it's like we would get to the metro and then just be tired. And like, okay, where is it that we're going now?
And Washington, D.C. in the summer is extremely warm.
Yes. Very
not a cool place, temperature-wise.
But we got to see a lot of landmarks, so that was nice.
And those are all places where we wouldn't take small children to.
Correct.
So that's why we didn't go to like a beach, because we were thinking about children.
Yeah.
And we decided we wanted to go somewhere where we wouldn't be able to go with children.
or at least not for a while.
Small children.
Yeah, because Washington, D.C., okay, you can do that when your kids are like in middle school, but there is zero things to do in any of those museums for small children. Everything's geared towards like 4th grade and up. So you can bring your kid, but they're just going to be miserable the whole time.
Yeah. A 2-year-old would not be good in DC.
No.
That would not be a good trip for a 2-year-old.
And then New York was your first time like semi-living in a major city. So we did everything mass transit.
Yeah, we didn't have a car.
We didn't have a car. We never rented a taxi.
We didn't have a car in DC either.
No, but
DC doesn't have the skyscrapers. New York, I was like, whoa.
Yeah, so...
I mean, Cincinnati has skyscrapers, but...
And like we biked a lot in DC too because you can rent the bikes, but you can't necessarily bike around a whole lot in New York unless if you know what you're doing.
Yeah. New York is a whole different level of wow.
Yeah. So I had been there twice before. I went with Girl Scouts my senior year of high school as our senior trip. And I went when I was co-oping with the government. It was only for 1 or 2 days. It was a very short trip. But because I was the one that went with my coworker, I actually convinced her to go to Times Square the one night, like the one full night we were there. So we went to Times Square. We met up with her sister because her sister was in town for some reason too, and got dinner together. And I navigated her around the city because I wasn't too far off of my New York trip at that point. And then when I went with you, we used Google Maps a lot, but it was, we're going to take this train to this train to this train, and we'll be in Manhattan at the Empire State Building so we can do that tour that we wanted to do. I took you around Central Park and you were like, oh my goodness. And I was like, yes, this is just a small portion of Central Park.
Yeah. We went to San Francisco on our honeymoon, and I was still like flabbergasted in New York. I was completely out of my element.
Yeah. San Francisco, we had a rental car to get us to Napa, and then we took the rental car to our hotel to drop off our things, dropped off the rental at the hotel, and you were like, okay, so we're going to Uber back to the hotel, right? And I was like, no, we're going to get on the train and we're going to take the train in. So it's like, yeah, we're going to take this train in, and then we'll take this train to this other train, and we'll be at this hotel, we'll be at this touristy spot, and then we'll get to the hotel eventually. And that's what we did, and it worked.
We had a bike to the hotel, I think.
I think we did end up biking to the hotel because
it was a lot further than we thought.
One of the trains, because it was a cable car, and every cable car stop we went to was packed. And we're like, yeah, this isn't going to happen.
But my broader point was San Francisco didn't feel like any different than Cincinnati. It just felt bigger. It's definitely bigger than Cincinnati.
Yeah.
But the skyscrapers weren't like New York.
They weren't massive.
They weren't like New York.
Yeah. And it wasn't, mass transit was a thing, but we didn't use it as much. We stayed
Same thing with
local.
Chicago. I've been to Chicago, and I've seen the Sears Tower, the Willis Tower.
Yeah, now it's the Willis Tower. It's so weird.
Which is like the tallest building.
It was
the tallest building in the world. But New York was overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
I just remember looking up, I'm like, wow. And there's so many.
Yes.
I think that's what makes it different than like a Chicago.
Well, and then depending upon what train you're taking, because the L train was still out of commission due to, I forget the name of the hurricane. There was a hurricane that came through.
Sandy.
Hurricane Sandy came through and took out the tunnel for the L train, and they were still trying to get that back up and running. So for the most part, anytime we were going to Manhattan, we were taking a bridge, and you could see the skyline, and you were amazed by that way more than I was. Because I was like, oh yeah, I've been here before. But that was lots of fun. And that would be that's like maybe take like high school kids. I don't even know, because New York is just insanity. We had 2 kids. They're fun. They're sleeping through the night for sure now. Well, now that I said that, we'll have 2 nights in a row where they won't sleep through the night.
We got 2 dogs.
Yep, 2 dogs that love us very much.
One is a producer, and the other is pretty much disowned us. She doesn't even, she's not even over there.
She's in our bed.
She's in our bed. At least Clara sits on the couch and listens.
For the most part. Sometimes she's upstairs in bed too.
Yeah.
Sometimes our dogs spend more time in our bed than we do.
Yeah, definitely.
We learned how to homebrew. So I took a beer tasting class in college because I discovered that was a thing that you could do. We had a beer tasting class and a wine tasting class. We had 2 different wine tasting classes. We had one if you wanted to like be a cicerone, which is the I can taste everything that is in this wine kind of person, and one that was like a more general, like the beer tasting class that I took. Here are different types of wine. Here's how you discern things. Here's things that you look out for. Here's good. here's bad. And so I took a beer tasting class and learned more about the craft beer scene in Cincinnati.
That was when it was exploding.
Yes.
2013.
And
there's basically just Rheingeist, Listerman, Matre, Mount Carmel, Rivertown.
Yeah, so
that's it.
Well, and even at that point, like if you go to Rheingeist now, when you walk up the stairs, you can kind of see their main production because it's the windows to see it are kind of small compared to when you come up the doors and you look to your left, you can see the huge fermentation tanks. When I visited Rheingeist, those fermentation tanks did not exist. It's the system that's behind that is what they were using. When I visited Tree, they probably only had half or 2/3 of the tanks that they had before they moved into 2.0. And when I visited Listerman, their tap room was the little area that you walk into when you walk in their door, and where all their picnic tables are and you watch TV, that was the homebrew shop. So, like, these places were tiny, and now they're huge. Because I remember getting a tour of the homebrew shop, and I was like, oh, yeah, this is on the other side of the wall now.
And Rivertown was in the original building.
Yes.
In Lockland.
Yeah, Rivertown was in Lockland. So that got us more into craft beer. We were already kind of beer snobs at this point.
We like the German beer. We still do.
Yes, we still do. But craft beer is a little bit easier to acquire than German beer most of the time.
The homebrews that we do, we just do the kits. You don't really need a whole bunch of knowledge. You don't need to take a college class.
Correct.
That was just an added bonus. You also took a class outside of college.
Yeah, I took a class at UC's Communiversity, which is like their classes for people that are no longer in school, or you can still be in school, but they're more like Gen Ed kind of things.
Way more cheaper than a general college class.
Way more cheaper than a college class, yeah. So I took 2 different home brewing classes. One with Garrett Hughes, the head brewer at Street and one of the owners of Streetside, and the other with Alan from Listerman. So Alan's class was just a day.
Yeah.
The Streetside class was 5 weeks, and he would bring in crowlers of beer every week for us to try, to like get different styles, and like here's how you can tell like these 2 beers are similar but they're brewed with different yeasts, so you can kind of tell the difference. And he was like, bring in your homebrew stuff and I'll taste it and let you know what's up with it and stuff like that. And he was really cool. I still have his card, so he's like, if you need anything you can email me. Haven't done that though, because we just brew with kits. The information was handy though, so if I want to get more intense with it, I at least have a base to start. But for now, kits are good.
And they do good beer, so
they do.
I mean, it takes a lot of time from when you brew, you do the kettle, and then you bottle, and then you can finally drink. It's probably a month and a half.
The way we do it ends up being about a month.
It can be shorter, but let's just be simple. It can be a month.
Yes, because you brew, it ferments for 2 weeks, and then you bottle it, and it conditions in your bottles for 2 weeks.
Or you can keg, I guess.
Or you can keg it, and it'll be ready in a few days.
Yeah, so they say. We tried doing that. It didn't work out.
We had too many leaks in our system. Hopefully with our new fridge, we can redo our system and figure out where the leaks are.
But that's a lot of time to not do a kit and screw something up, and then you have a bad batch.
Yeah.
So it's just, we know we had success with the kits, that there are instructions, there's weighted ingredients.
And Listerman has a very good selection of kits. So it's not like, here are 5 different beers to choose from. Here's a lager, here's a pale ale, here's an amber, here's an IPA, and here's a stout.
There's probably like 50.
They've got at least 30 different kits for sure.
It's a lot of, and they do different seasons too.
Yeah, and they'll change stuff up based on seasonality. So we haven't found anything that's like we haven't ever gone there and been like, oh, but there's nothing on the shelf that we want.
Yeah, and it's 5 gallons of this stuff.
Yeah, which is enough to last us for a little while.
60 bottles. So that's a lot, in my opinion, to experiment. I mean, people do it, and I'm sure they don't get good results. And some people do it, and they become mature.
Yes.
Just from a time perspective, we prefer the kits.
For sure.
So we didn't need all that information, but it was
useful.
It was useful.
Helpful.
Yeah.
I know how to change our water if I have to.
And the final achievement, because I know you're tired, it's way past your bedtime.
It is.
You are now a podcaster and a blogger.
I am.
Which kind of meshes all of this into one hobby.
It does, because now I have a place to dump at least some of this information. It's all floating around my head. And document things that happen in our lives.
Yeah. So I have a question. If you could go back in time 10 years and give yourself some advice for the upcoming decade, the roaring 20s, what would it be?
Probably just enjoy. I don't have like any regrets or anything that was like, oh my goodness, that was a terrible decision. Like, we learned from everything. We got through everything together. If anything went wrong, it just made our relationship stronger with us figuring out how to get through it. So like, just enjoy. Like, don't overthink things and stuff, because you're going to get there.
That's what I would say as well. Maybe not those exact words, but I tend to focus a lot on work. Like, that was my main focus over the last 12 years. Because
you're old.
Yeah. I was really hardcore. Like, I need a job. I'm not good enough because I didn't get a job. Or why aren't people hiring me?
Well, it's because they weren't hiring anyone.
Yeah. And it's not like I wasn't unemployed. I mean, in 2009, I graduated high school and I was working 2 jobs.
Yeah.
I didn't have to, like, I wasn't like living on my own or anything. And I didn't need 2 jobs, but I wanted to do that for the experience. It was all about the experience.
Yeah.
I need job experience so I can get hired after college. Mm-hmm. And I was super stressed out about that. My advice would be to enjoy life. Still work hard, but enjoy life.
Yeah. So you got out of a 30th birthday party because Lily was in the NICU and had just come home from the NICU, and we're like, baby. But we're working on planning my 30th birthday, which you'll hear about in a future podcast once we finally get all the plans together for that, which I should probably do soon.
And you are the last of the group.
Well, I'm the last of the original group. We added people on that are younger than me now.
Yeah.
So it was nice whenever we would play games because sometimes in the rules for board games, they'll tell you who goes first and it'll be like the last person to watch a movie. My favorite, though, is the youngest person in the room, or like the youngest person playing. And I'm like, me. By like 2 months, but it's still me.
I forgot about Katie. Sorry, Katie.
And Mark, her husband.
And Mark.
Yeah. Okay, so now this old lady needs to go to bed and make sure her sleep number's on the right setting, because if I sleep the wrong way, I won't be able to look right for a week.
Hold the phone. It is time for the dad joke of the week.
Okay.
But you'll like this because it's advice for keeping your body hot as you get old. And now that it's your birthday, you're ancient, just like me.
Wait. Are you saying that I'm not hot? Are you saying that I'm no longer attractive?
No, I am not saying that. I am saying... just in case. This may not apply to you. Who knows? But the advice is coming.
Okay.
So get ready.
I am as ready as I can currently be.
All right. What is the secret to having a smoking hot body as in your old age?
I don't know.
Cremation.
Oh my goodness.
Cue the applause.
No. No applause for you. I'd be dead.
Joke's on you. I have the post-production power.
Dang it.
And I say applause.
YouTube's how to use Adobe Audition. Whatever. You knew what I meant.
So that does it for this week's show. Thanks so much for listening. We want to hear from you. If you have ideas for a show topic, if you have comments about a previous show, maybe you really liked it, maybe you learned something new, or perhaps...
you think there are ways in which we could improve.
Maybe, yeah.
But we're perfect, so... I don't know.
Yeah. So there are many ways that you can get in touch with us. You can send us an email at craftparentingpodcast@gmail.com. You can follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Craft Parenting Podcast to get updates on when episodes have dropped, see pictures of our adorable kids, and more.
If you like what you hear, please leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or your podcatcher of choice. Make sure to share the show with your friends, family, your neighbor down the street. You can also send us stuff to our new P.O. Box, which is listed on our website, which is new and beautiful. And I'm stealing Joe's line and saying that it is www.craftparentingpodcast.com. You should go check it out.
Go check it out. It is awesome.
We're going to have all of our show notes there. Plus, I've been writing blog posts about stuff that doesn't make it onto the show, or elaborate more about things that did make it onto the show.
At the time of this recording, we just published a blog post about how Elliot turned 3 months.
Yes, because he is getting ancient too, and it is scary. My baby is huge and not as much of a baby anymore.
He is 3 months old at this time of this recording, which is a lot. Where did the time go?
He was 2 weeks old when we started this podcast.
He was, 2 weeks old. And he's such a good baby. And he's cooing and laughing. And all these details are in the blog post, so you should go check it out.
So I can go to bed.
Yes. And we have another blog post about our awesome vacation that we did, and our awesome ride to the vacation.
There will be multiple blog posts about the vacation as I figure out things to write about the vacation.
If you haven't already done so, make sure you subscribe to the show. We are listed on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and just about every podcast app out there. And with that, I'm Joe.
And I'm Caroline.
See you next time on the Craft Parenting Podcast. Welcome back to this week's episode.
We haven't even started and we already super digressed. This is great.
So, I'm going to put it on Do Not Disturb. Probably should have done that at the beginning.
Okay, so here's the crazy thing. I am literally getting emails from my boss right now.
It's bedtime.
Yes.